But the rumor mill believes Kevin's gone, Andrew Berry stays. Is that fair?
I feel like that's the right read. That's been my read on it for months now, though. So, I like that everyone is on the same page because I feel like, again, it's not even like is that even sticking up for Andrew Berry? I just feel like the draft really helped him, and now he's in a good spot where he'd keep his job.
Yeah, I think it's tough because I think more often than not, a GM gets more than just one head coach, right? Unless, of course, they're hired by the head coach like a Mike Mayock, John Gruden situation. So it's kind of a cliche that owners will give GMs multiple head coaches and not the other way around. So the head coach is always, I don't want to say always, but traditionally the first guy to get fired, and then we'll see what the GM can do after that. So I think we're working on a generality.
Well, and somebody's riding shotgun with Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah.
And it's not Deep Podesta now that he's in Colorado playing baseball once again, at least acting baseball, whatever he's doing. It's not him. And so the idea that I think right now it is Andrew Berry lines up with my thought process the entire time.
And I also think the recency bias, which you mentioned, which is the draft picks. And listen, coming off this last week, Shedeur looked really good. Quinshawn looked really good. Carson Schlesinger, Mason Graham, Harold Fannin. At some point, when it was early in the season, it was like, yeah, they look good, but it's early in the season. Things happen. When you're talking about this rookie class looking this good, plus Aiden Huntington, plus another couple young kids over 14 weeks of the season, it does not in any way take away the Deshaun deal, but I can understand that owners are, hey, this is in front of me right now, and this is the latest thing, so I'm going to react off that.
Yeah, I just don't look at it like it's Stefanski and Berry and they're connected at the hip the way that we all once thought it was, let's say, I don't know, a year and a half or so ago.
Yeah, I definitely think, I don't know if it was Shedeur versus Dylan. I don't know if it was
himself.
I don't know if it was the Joe Flacco stuff. I mean, I think you're talking about just the way, the perception of if you're going to fire one, you have to fire both.
Well, I used to call them Bert and Ernie. They were tied at the hip. They were connected, and now it feels like they're not. Andrew Berry is done. If he does end up being the one that stays and Kevin Stefanski's gone, Andrew Berry has put on a clinic of being able to separate what people think is one thing and then moving to something else. Because for the longest time, they were connected. They thought partners were, and now they're not.
I also just think, I think it stands to reason after 6 seasons, the worst trade in NFL history, and, 2 back-to-back bad seasons, that maybe Berry and Stefanski, though they might like each other, might also be a little tired of each other, too.
Certainly possible. Yeah. Now, again, this doesn't take away I would have fired him previously.
Yes. I think that's the problem, is on one hand, listen, I don't trust Jimmy Haslam to replace one of these guys, let alone both of them. So there is some logic in just, all right, just try and get the head coach right. Can you just stop screwing that up at the very least? But the problem is, if we just get to who's worse at their job, I'll still fall back on Andrew Berry despite this draft class.
I'm done with both of them. So, but if he ends up being the one that stays, I have less of an issue with him being the one that stays than Stefanski.
Now, this brings me to what I think is going to be a complicated question, depending on who's here and who's not here and all that, which is who gets credit if Shedeur becomes the long-term starter.
Okay. As of right now, the credit is doled out as Shedeur is doing this in spite of everybody else. That's how I look at this, okay? Mm-hmm. I know you wanted to dump the credit bucket on somebody's front lawn and you want to make that a thing.
I don't want to. I just know that's how it's going to happen.
I can't right now, though. But I actually cannot give anybody right now, whether that's Andrew Berry, whether that's Stefanski, whether it's anybody else. As of right now, I can't do it. I'm unwilling to give off an actual reasonable amount of credit to anybody but Shedeur in this instance.
I think the problem is this is inevitably what happens in the NFL, and I think when this divorce comes, if it does come to fruition the way I think people think, somebody in the Browns is going to get that credit nationally as they try and move forward with Shedeur.
So here's what I'll say.
If Shedeur's the starting quarterback.
From that perspective and how the dominoes end up falling, Nick, how I think it's going to happen, one of the loudest voices in all of sports media is Stephen A. Smith. We might not agree with him. We might not like him. Whatever it is.
He complimented Cleveland sports media.
He did give a really nice compliment to Cleveland. Not just Cleveland media, Cleveland Sports Talk Radio, by the way.
And I think he was talking exclusively about us.
We can't confirm it, but that's the belief, right?
Yeah. He did not say Nick and Jonathan, but he also didn't say anybody else's name either.
He kind of did a Ross Tucker in many ways.
Yeah.
He wanted
to say it. You could see.
Cleveland Sports Talk Radio.
His lips
what are you
were
talking
forming
about, Stephen A?
The first initials of both of our names. names at the same time.
Stephen A. has talked about it for months that he believes that it was Andrew Berry, right? That's his thinking on it. And again, he's got a lot of different sources himself and everything else. He's the only person I've heard, though, be like, it's Andrew Berry and that's it. And we've seen a couple things that will go along with this thought process, right? We've seen him in the Carolina, the preseason game. It looked like there was nobody happier in the world for Shedeur Sanders in that moment than Andrew Berry. We've seen him even after this in the most recent game. Like it feels like when you watch Andrew Berry, that is someone he's got more than just I drafted him and I'm invested in him in the success of Shedeur. I've always believed it was Haslam that pulled the trigger. I've always believed it was Haslam that was the one that ultimately made the final call on that. But it's anyone between those two. I think the media doesn't want to give any credit to Haslam. I think they're going to refuse to give any credit to Haslam when it comes to that selection. So I think it's going to default to Stephen A's logic, and it's going to go to Andrew Berry.
So I think by process of elimination, we can say Kevin won't be getting the credit. Right? Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, if this was a pie chart, we didn't even give him a Keller on the table to be like, this goes to you, Kevin.
I actually think that's what I'm kind of curious about 520 with Albert. Is Albert going to be like, hey, you got to give Kevin credit for the way the kid played on Sunday?
So this is where they're going to get me mad.
Yeah,
they're going to get me mad.
I'm just saying. It's
all these people, and I've seen it out there already.
Trying to find the Stefanski spin in it.
3 weeks. He's done so much with his footwork. He's done so much. He wouldn't be playing. You think he'd be playing this type of game if not for the help of Stefanski? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. That's the point. Oh, you know what to get me angry. You're just getting me angry.
I'm not trying to get you angry.
You just want to get me riled up.
If I did, I would reference a clip from another show. The name escapes me.
Great. I'm just your wind-up doll right now. That's
I am
fine.
not. I'm preparing you. This is the trust tree with the nest.
Albert does that. All right, I got to mentally get myself ready.
Yeah, that's what I want.
If he's trying to tell me,
I don't want you to drop an F-bomb on Albert at 5:20 today.
Stefanski's done some miracle wonder job in 3 weeks with Shedeur. I'm going to lose it, and I don't want to lose it on Albert because I prefer that he comes on every week instead of us getting so angry at him that he's like, I don't need to do this anymore.
I don't think he'll do that. I kind of think we owe him one for a couple weeks ago. It wasn't what he did on air. It was the representation of it on the MMQB podcast, which we will be playing ahead of Albert joining us at 5:20. Not that I'm upset about it and have been for 3 weeks at all. But so the process of okay, Kevin, you go over here.
Yeah,
you didn't want any part of this. Even if you helped him,
you get
you don't get any help.
No part of the pie chart.
I think it's Andrew Berry. Which, for everything that I just said, Andrew orchestrated, and I think he was the point man in orchestrating the worst trade in NFL history. I think DePodesta was a part of germinating that idea. I think Kevin Stefanski went along with it, and eventually they talked Jimmy Haslam into it. I find it hard to believe that Jimmy Haslam, in all as he has tried to foster this environment with the thought partners where they are big boys and they make their own decisions, I find it hard to believe Jimmy Haslam told anyone what to do with the 5th round pick. I just can't.
I mean, there was a lot of political pressure. There was a lot of political pressure at the time, and there was a different understanding. I could totally see an area where it was Haslam that came in and done it. But I want to give Andrew Berry credit. But the only thing I've seen, like actually can physically see, is I've seen consistently Andrew Berry seem like he's not only on the side of Shedeur, he seems like he's constantly uplifting him, and he's given me the idea that if that is true, what Stephen A has been going along with for months is true, I won't be like, I don't believe it.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going off of, right? And in fairness, I mean, I guess we did just have Jimmy Haslam and Dion bumping into each other at yesterday. We had the video that came out where Jimmy even did the weird, I'm going to pull on your arm thing, like you do, like when you shake somebody's hand.
The thing that old rich guys do sometimes?
Yeah, I don't get that move. You can tell I come from no money because when I shake somebody's hand, I go in to let them know I'm a real man, right?
Is that what?
I don't then come in with let me cuddle with your arm.
Okay, but is that just the move you do instead of doing the bro hug? Is that like the 82-year-old version of that?
Was that big in the 50s?
No, I just think maybe you're just older, so instead of doing like the whole and like Dion went in for the bro hug, he got the bro hug, but instead of that, you're just like I'm not. That's a lot of energy.
Well, you got to think about that because that's very country club.
I might break a hip.
I'll shake your hand, but I won't hug you. That kind of thing.
You know what happens if you go in for the big bro hug? You don't know what's going to happen.
He thinks it's going to turn into something more.
You could pull anything at any point at that point in life.
Literally.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You're so close is what I mean. No, I think I would be inclined to give it to Andrew Berry because I think there was a time where Jimmy was a complete and absolute and total menace when it came to decisions, right? Including like the reinforcement of tanking. I'm not saying that he's a choir boy now. I'm not saying that he doesn't have any say in these decisions. But I think 6 years in, I think Barry and Stefanski both have more say, especially when it comes to the quarterback position than anything else. And I think it's almost a cop-out not to give the GM credit for drafting one of the two quarterbacks on the roster.
Oh, so what is interesting, though, is the idea that then you would have said, all right, Stefanski, you get your pick in Dylan Gabriel. I'll take my pick in the 5th round. And
Sounds about right.
But then you watched as then it unfolded where Stefanski got to roll his guy out first.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense, though, right?
Well, it would if we were traditionally working on a normal NFL setting, yes. But this has not really been normal the entire time. We've kind of, as we alluded to in the first segment of the show, the idea that Stefanski is just almost like a puppet of sorts, and they're just kind of stringing him along, and he's just kind of, yes, 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 I get it, yes, yes, yes. And if that was the case, then I would have wanted more of an advocate from Barry in that instance to be like, wake up your eyes.
I think it's more as part of the... because I think it was a compromise. I do think they being Kevin Stefanski, intended to draft Dylan Gabriel. That was his guy. And then as the draft rolled on, I think Barry said, listen, I'll let you handle the quarterback development how you want to. You can string Shedeur along, but I want him on the roster.
I guess we'll find out at some point because Jimmy Haslam, I don't think he's going to be able to keep it a secret if he was in fact the one that pulled the trigger.
He's going to tell everyone. He's going to mention it in the press conference when he fires Kevin.
It just won't let him. It just won't let him not do that. It won't let him just sit there and be like, no.
He actually wears a number 12 jersey to the press conference, firing Kevin Stefanski.
I got one you can have if you want. I can lend it out at least to you.